Goal for Morocco. Goal for Canada. Number 11, Buchanan.
see there the challenge. Obviously the match director handing the camera straight to him after the replay of that free kick. Probably Michael Oliver a lot busier than he was hoping for in this first 45 minutes. There's another foul given now, and it's Jonathan David. Now that challenge doesn't warrant a yellow card, but he is walking on a tightrope for the remainder of the game, having just been booked for pulling down Brahim Diaz. That time going for the ball, just tipping Bernardo.
And those are the reactionary dismount. United States born manager. Very good mistake. He started his career in the assistant of Bradley in the 2010 World Cup when he went to Montreal, and from there he started his career in the Red Bull factory, working in Lloyd and the South, in Leipzig. He went to manage the Leeds United in the Premier League before taking this managerial role with Canada, so far a little bit. Winner with Paris Saint-Germain, the mainstay in that back four, at right back under the instructions of Luis Enrique. In the last 3 games, we're consistent on the right run for Naim and Emi. They show the most technical and gifted players of their team, trying to combine one piece, trying to reach the last third, and not with the other parties not being finished. Looking here, sketching. Look at the draw. What would I like from the work in the first half? Canada was the youngest player in the 2022 World Cup. Was the youngsters, and this was Canada and Morocco was the U20 World Cup champion. With Mohamed Ali as manager. Was a celebration. Let's see if we see one of them in the second half.
And there goes the final whistle. Half time now, and it's time for a breather. Just a quick reminder for those of you watching on YouTube, we're glad to have you with us for this free featured match. However, our YouTube schedule only includes select games. To unlock the ultimate World Cup experience with full access to every match live and on demand, make sure to buy the pay-per-view on Glass TV offer for only 1,999 pesos. Check out the description below for more information. This one of 40 live games in full on the Alifreda YouTube channel. But at half time, it is goals between Canada and Morocco. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back just before we start the second half.
The biggest World Cup in history is here. Never miss a moment. Brilliant! Just brilliant! All 104 matches. One to take, one to hit. Live from start to finish. All in one. All access pass. That's what they came for! Only 1,999 pesos. Download and subscribe now.
Welcome back to the Houston Stadium in the state of Texas. It is halftime in this round of 16 clash of the 2026 FIFA World Cup between Canada and Morocco. As things stand, it is goalless at the break. That being said, though, there has definitely been one side on top, and that is Canada. A few may have expected Morocco to be on the front foot in this game based on their recent outings in the World Cups, but Canada are the side who have come closest, definitely, in this first period. This is the best chance of the game we've seen really so far. Tani Oluwaseyi with a lovely turn inside the box and forcing Yassine Bono into a very solid save down low. The real talking point though this first half has been the vast number of yellow cards, which has been a bit of a surprise because obviously today's referee is Michael Oliver from the Premier League, so we were expecting maybe a bit more leeway with these challenges, but we'll see if that will have any effect in the second half. Carlos Ponte is alongside me for this game. Carlos, based on what we've seen in the first 45, I don't really want to say if you're surprised, but were you maybe expecting a bit more from Morocco in this game? Or,
sure.
Or has Canada put you a bit by surprise?
Canada didn't come as a surprise because I think it's a team that is on a constant evolution, and with the good defensive performance they've had in this work, if they could achieve that defensive performance, I would give lots of confidence for the rest of the team to have a good game, which is happening. Canada, there is they're picking when to go high in the pitch and press, when to recover the ball as soon as possible, when to have a low block, and so far Morocco hasn't been able to penetrate that defensive block. And it's just very curious what you were saying about the yellow card, because actually the team that has been more aggressive, the team that has been committing more fouls is Canada with 15. Morocco has only committed 6 fouls, out of those 6 fouls, 4 yellow cards. So, yes, weird for Michael Oliver on a Premier League referee to be constantly interrupting the game and to be constantly, as soon as he had got the chance, to be putting the yellow cards. Morocco, it was a team that was playing with a really high level of circulation, with lots of attacks, creating lots of chances, pressuring an opposition half, as we've been saying, and we haven't seen none of that. It's true that we haven't seen none of that, but it's true that they play 120 minutes against the Netherlands. It's true that it's a team that has they should be tired compared to Canada, but I think also that at this stage, at this point, how do you say that? Ghana to want to qualify to the next one should be bigger than being tired. So let's see what's going to happen in the second half. Some changes we might see, thinking in the yellow cards for Morocco. If they want to advance, so they need to change the pace of what we saw in the first half. Only 4 shots with 1 target, and also 1 distance shot that didn't create any danger to Canada.
Well, obviously, it is the main talking point as well when it comes to the actual play on the field. Of the surprise really from Morocco so far is that they haven't really caused any serious trouble for Maxime Crepeau, the Canada goalkeeper, in between the sticks. And obviously, that was the unfortunate elephant in the room, if you will, for Morocco, is the fact that they've had to lose arguably their best attacker in this tournament, Ismail Saibari, who went off just around the hydration break with what we expect to be a hamstring injury. Even if Morocco go through, he may probably be a doubt for a quarter-final clash against Paraguay or France, but him going off obviously will only make things potentially more difficult for Morocco.
Yes, it's true that Morocco has certain options, and it's a team that doesn't depend on one player, but if the things are not going well in the first half, if we're not applying the pressure and then moving the ball down as you usually do, then you look at the individuals. And of course, the most important individual for Morocco in this tournament so far has been Saibari. So he's off. He's on the pitch, put on the 10 again, and it looks like everything are bad news for Morocco at this moment. But good that they're into the halftime break. I think that the good thing when you're not playing well is that the game still will win. The other team didn't score. So now you go to the halftime break, now you can swap things, now you can make certain corrections, and for the second 45 minutes, Morocco needs to change the pace if they want to advance into the next round.
Well, Morocco doing a bit of a team huddle there inside the tunnel here in the Houston Stadium before making it back out onto the field to play. It doesn't look like there are any changes, so apart from that one forced change due to injury, Rahimi coming on for Saibari, it doesn't look like Mohamed Wahbi wants to make any changes just yet. Neither does it seem does Jesse Marsh, from what you saw in shot there, because from his point of view, I'm guessing that was the half-time team talk from Jesse Marsh was short and sweet. Keep doing what you're doing, boys.
Yes, I think when you say keep doing what you're doing, you know that the opposition manager is going to find a way to go against that strategy. So let's see, but for sure, Canada with very good intensity, understanding what to do in every play, and a very, very good collective that so far is playing better than Morocco.
Canadians also doing their team huddle on the pitch though, before we get the second half underway. We hope we see goals in this second 45. If not, obviously we will be going to extra time.
For sure, Canada didn't have a big chance or a clear chance to score the first, but they had more shots. They actually played closer to the opposition goal in Morocco. They had lots of corners, and certainly defensively speaking, they were better. We see expected goals is 0.42 and 0.02. Not much from Morocco, but pretty much nothing from the African side. And just to say that, if we add both expected goals of Canada, the opposition expected goals, it was 0.01 against South Africa, and 0.02 against Morocco. 0.03 in both games, pretty much only fine. Yeah, that's the position in the last 2 games.
Very impressive indeed so far, the defensive solidity from Jesse Marsh's Canada side. As Morocco have started this second half with the possession. All in white, Morocco attacking now from left to right on your screens. Canada all in black, attacking from right to left, and they just run the ball back here looking to break on the counter. Morocco have got a man down asking for a foul. Are those on the Moroccan dugout? It's one back nicely by Canada to try and break forward once again. Tyjon Buchanan loses out with the attempted back heel. Morocco will come again. Can confirm as well that Canada have not made any changes to their team at half-time. As Ashraf Hakimi now tries to twist and turn and find his way round Ali Ahmed, but it's his teammate at the back, Richie Larea, who makes the tackle. It will be a throw in for Morocco.
But that's not the start of the second half. Where they finished the first one trying to combine down the right, and that's pretty much the best attacking option that they have. The combination of Raheem Diaz and Aka, two international players, two elite players on the right side. They should be creating problems. They should be combining more in order for Morocco to create attacking chances.
It's Rowley mixing up with El Canoes, has to go all the way back to his defence.
And the third players will work out, of course, Morocco, not making substitutions, but remaining on the pitch. Hakimi, Kharkal, Kamish, and Bonahi.
Morocco will need to find an extra gear in the second half if they are to break the deadlock and find a way forward, but they've just given the ball away here in their own defence. There's now more of a save mix of Jonathan David trying to return the favour there. And it will go out for an early corner. Substantius having serious work there with Michael Oliver. He needs to be pushed away by the official. But his side have at least won the corner. I believe it's potentially for this challenge from Unahi.
Unahi, the famous number 8 of Morocco. Hasn't had a good game neither, not from first areas. Some of the countries that we said, we don't see a Morocco team that is fresh, the physicality doesn't seem 100%. When we see them with those type of mistakes, the professional player with techniques of type of mistake, there's something mentally going on there.
Corner play short by Canada. Buchanan back to Eustachio. Now, Ali Ahmed. Ball across from Larea. Ball back in first time, and it is just helped on by Luc de Fougereau. Over the crossbar, it will be a goal kick. Now, Raheem Diaz tries to link up with Raheem. He does so, and he's brought down now by the Fougereau. It's nowhere near the goal, so there won't be much debate on the colour of the card, but no doubt it's going to be another booking in the first and second half. And now, similar to Morocco, Canada also have two of their back four on a booking.
For the road that actually was running all the way from the corner, he was the one that won the corner early, and he got there late as Centre back that is not fast, doesn't have the acceleration as what people, for example, and your opponent. Now with the set piece play for Morocco, Ashraf Hakimi will look to try pick out a teammate with his time to lead his play to the edge of the box. En-Nesyri! And it was an absolute treat! That's indeed a Rohi! With a flying finish into the bottom corner gives Morocco the 1-0 lead in Houston, Texas. It's early doors into the second half. But based on what we've seen here, it is probably against the run of play, but it's a lovely clean goal. Something worked off the training pitch. if they advance in the United States.
Next round potentially in Boston for Canada if they get through, but for that they're going to have to at least score once to maybe go to extra time. 2 if they want to win it. Their opponent will be decided in just a few hours. The game between Paraguay and France taking place in Philadelphia. Ultimately with the objective of getting to the New York, New Jersey Stadium, the MetLife Stadium, on the 19th of July for the grand final. Same stadium where the FIFA World Cup final was played last summer. And now we're back. Rowley on the ground. This year again, the long ball play down the right, and Johnson helped it on. The Cannon just offside it seems there. He was pushed over, but in the first 50-50 between Mazraoui and Johnson, where Mazraoui went down. See it again. It was a shoulder really, it seems, but Mazraoui did land awkwardly either way.
I'm not thinking about this 15 minutes. It's true that finishing being back 15 minutes of the second half for Canada. Of course, we had a great first half, but if you think Morocco has only had one shot, and it's been the shot of the free kick, yeah, they committed a mistake in pulling back the yellow card. It's shown if we lose the free kick and the goal. The rest, pretty much nothing has happened in the second half, so it's only one mistake, the one has no Morocco up from. They've done great offensively, but defensively speaking, blocking the offensive approach of Morocco, I think they've done good. But there's now actually to think in substitutions, different options, move the bench around, and of course, knowing that there's no future if they lose this game.
Goes back now to the Fugaro. Crossington, the midfielder Seagull up playing as a makeshift left back there temporarily to pick up the possession. Attempted through ball there, very much overhit, and Morocco will start again through their goalkeeper Yassine Bono. We pointed out in the first half that Yassine Bono could have actually played for Canada, having been born in Montreal. He's actually now the first goalkeeper in history to face the country where he was born twice at the World Cup, because he was in goal when these two sides met in the last World Cup, and obviously he's playing today. So he's faced his country of birth twice at the World Cup. First player ever to do that. And we talked about maybe changes for Canada, and yet it's Morocco who are going to make the first two changes. Talbi and Amrabat, the two players set to come on.
Yes, it's Morocco on the right, and Amrabat, the player for Real Betis, for Manchester United, and maybe he was the best player for Morocco in the past World Cup. Everybody started to know about Amrabat after what happened there. The player that is replaced in the middle of the park is Bouhaddi. He has been having a great World Cup. Bouhaddi, one of the youngsters of this tournament so far, but it's true that he hasn't been playing good. He didn't have a good first half or initial minutes of the second half. He didn't put the high rhythm of circulation that he usually gives to the team, and well, a substitution that maybe the Canadian people was waiting. The beloved player from the park crowd, Kailani, coming in for the USA.
Indeed, we hadn't seen that he was ready to come on, but he has indeed entered the fray. All we say is come off. However, Morocco potentially with a chance here to double their lead, but it's a heavy pass from Rahimi, surrounded by Canadian defenders, couldn't really go it alone, and then got the pass completely wrong.
And Talbi, the player from Sunderland that came on from El Canoes, pretty much played with the same characteristics, looking for the one-on-one, looking for dribbling down the line, getting depth down the left side. Let's see if the changes work from Morocco.
Lovely ball there, the back heel from Hakimi trying to link up with Brahim. It's swept away. Bouhaddi has started the vast majority of the games at this World Cup for Morocco. 4 of the 5 games played. The only one he didn't start was against Haiti, and that is where Amrabat was in the starting 11. Here's Brahim. Inside the box, plays it on his right, but back across. A few light shouts for handball, but from the Canadian players that there was a handball in attack. And it's now Amrabat is brought down.
And Morocco, of course, insisting down the line. And that last one, it was actually Lalea that suffered the nutmeg. He actually stepped out. He didn't want to. He wouldn't have any trouble as he's got the yellow card. And then he had to face another player with a yellow card for Rose. And you also see him 1.5 meters, not putting the foot, which conditions, of course, the way you mark.
Worth pointing out as well that with Talbi coming on, El Kanous was the player who gave way, which means one of the players on a yellow card has been taken off by Morocco. Boadi was not on the booking, but that is a change we have seen made by Mohamed Ouahbi in this tournament.
Pretty much we didn't see anything like Kanous in the second half because Morocco is just playing down the right, insisting to play it on the right side. Good pass.
Empty dribble there, not a bad one at all. Few questions there as to whether Bombito should be getting a card there, but it wasn't even a foul, says Michael Oliver. As now Canada come forward, 25 minutes left on the clock.
That was a good pass from Amrabat, breaking lines, a pass that Boadi can perfectly do, that we saw against Brazil, that we saw against Scotland, but we didn't see today. A pass, a 20-meter pass on the ground that break defensive lines, so important for Unahi, for Brahim, to Kanous, that is now to receive there and in an advantage position from there to attack.
Jonathan David to Correa. Obviously there, a handball. It is outside the penalty area, but it is offside, therefore there's nothing in it. Offside called first. It is quite clear looking at that angle right there. We just see once again the replay of the goal, the connection there with the ball from Unahi. Very good placement, has to be said, from the Girona midfielder, who unfortunately for him has been relegated this season with his club down to the second tier of Spanish football, but however he can jot down that very fine finish at the World Cup for Morocco. At the moment, the goal that will put them in the quarterfinals, but surely Canada will have something to say about that.
And earlier we said the famous number 8 of Morocco, because we remind recently came in a press conference when he was asked about players and attention to that one from Morocco. He said, "Oh, the number 8 of Morocco is so good." That comment received lots of critics. Attention.
They almost do a snacky, an awkward moment at the back as Yacine Bono was able to clear. However, Kyle Larin caught the keeper, and he's got a yellow card for his trouble as well, but that was pretty reckless from Larin. He was obviously trying to go for the ball, but ultimately got the keeper. We'll have to see the replay again. Ashraf Hakimi letting the ball go for his goalkeeper. There we see Larin completely taking out Bono.
Yes, in a slow motion, a slow replay, it looks not as worse as it looks. And it's true that Larin went and nobody didn't go with the cleats forward, but dangerous, of course, those collisions, those clashes. Michael Oliver didn't doubt it. He was pretty much one with the yellow card already in his hand.
Well, here we are once again with the hydration break. Second half now. We'll see if this will change the impact on the rest of the second 45. Just a quick reminder for those of you watching us live on YouTube, we have got select matches for free right here on the channel. But if you don't want to miss a single moment of the tournament, you can get full and uninterrupted access to all 104 matches of this 2026 FIFA World Cup. Head over to Blast TV and grab your pay-per-view pass offer now for only 1,999 pesos. More information in the description below for those of you watching live on the Alif Arena YouTube channel. We obviously hope that you stick with us until the end of the game, because this matchup is far from over. Unlike the first half, we have already seen a goal, a very well taken goal by Azzedine Unahi. Canada were on the front foot up until that point, but weren't able to materialize that into chances. And I think it's no surprise that the goal is a consequence of that, Carlos, but since they went 1-0 down, Canada have sort of shied away from the final third.
Yes, it's true, but it's also true that I'm not going to say that it's been a boring second half, but it's the second half that we haven't seen anything creative offensively, but the counter-attack that Morocco won the free kick, yellow card shown to the left center back of Canada, then a ball into the box, a mistake the way they were covering. They were doing a zonal marking pretty much all over the approach instead of the 6-yard, and they forgot to mark En-Nesyri. He was there at the edge of the box. Pass for him. Here we see him free of mark, alone, a good shot. Then you have to take it like that, because it would be you or me, Glenn, it would have gone to the third safely. But well, En-Nesyri, he's got enough quality, but you leave him alone, that's the risk that you can take. But after that, it's true that Morocco have a little bit more confidence. They still were managing the possession. There were a couple of plays that they broke lines and positioned themselves on the opposition half, insisting on the right side of the attack with Ashraf and with Brahim, knowing that the opposition with Barea and De Cruz, they don't have yellow cards, or Figueroa, sorry, they have yellow cards, and well, trying to create attacks. But it's not that they have created much. The only one they've had, it went in. So also Morocco needs to take this under consideration, and let's see if they can have the attacking formula to score more goals.
Well, the remaining 20 plus minutes of the second half is set to get back underway here. Another topic that we brought up, Carlos, is that against South Africa, Alphonso Davies played 15 minutes plus stoppage time. There's 20 minutes left here today, and it doesn't look like he's getting ready to come on at the moment.
No, he's actually talking there to Promise David, they promised one of the strikers, one of the forwards, a tall striker, kind of like similar to Kailari, but that talks to us that Alphonso Davies certainly doesn't have the physicality, he's not on the shape to be participating.
We'll see if Jesse Marsh wants to make some more changes. At the moment, only Kyle Larin he's brought on off the bench.
It was also talking to Jacob Sheffield, a player that plays down the right side. He's a left-footed player that can cut back, looking for one-on-one, good dribbling, but certainly doesn't have the quality of Alphonso Davies. That, we repeat, it doesn't seem that he's in shape to be participating.
Well, obviously something is being cooked up there by Jesse Marsh and his backroom staff.
It's a man who relies a lot on the facts, on the statistics. He always said in press conference the importance of the data or of the information that you can have now in football to take decisions.
Canada at the moment, time is running out for them. They're going to need at least a goal if they are to stay alive in this tournament. Today may be the national holiday in the United States of America, being the 4th of July, but if Canada are able to turn it around, it will also be a day of celebration over the border in Canada. See if Jesse Marsh can conjure up something to help his side get through, but at the moment Morocco doing very well to control their 1-0 lead.
But the worst game in Morocco in this World Cup's no doubt. There could be lots of interrogation marks or question marks of why they play 120 minutes and went to penalty kicks against Netherlands, or playing 2 days. They have 2 days less to rest compared to Canada. They had to travel more. It's been a comfortable game, no doubt, for Morocco so far. They lost Aibari early on. But also, when you're not playing well, when the opposition is doing better, to be winning, those are also good news. To learn how to win football matches without playing well, that's actually a quality of our top side.
Looks like Jesse Marsh has made up his mind as to what he's going to do. Now those said players will get their final instructions, and Canada will be making at least one change in the next few minutes. Morocco have already made 3 in this game. One of them was forced. Saibari off due to injury in the first half, which means they still have 2 changes left if they want to make them later on in this second half. Morocco in no real need to get a second goal, although you do get the feeling that a second goal would put this game to bed, and yet Morocco really scoring with their first chance of the game, and that came 5 minutes into the second half. As the ball goes long over the top for Jonathan David to try and chase. The header back from Al-Hal is well met by Yassine Bono. Alexander Rabat.
Well, against Brazil and Scotland, and that's something that they have to take an eye on. They scored really early on before the 10 minutes of play. But against the Netherlands, for example, as you said, they have to wait up until the injury time of the second half to score.
So played now, middle of the park, to Igor. Bougerol, the centre half. They're looking for an avenue forward, and now Morocco, they are sitting a bit deeper than they were in the first half, and it's understandable now that they are 1-0 up. But something may still come from this as Tyjon Buchanan tries to get round Talbi.
The identity of Morocco, of course, as we've been seeing this World Cup, and we've said it, of course, is to pressure high in the pitch, to be an uncomfortable team, to win the duels, to play with lots of intensity. But right now, as the game goes, is Canada the one that has the obligation to attack, and they're testing the Canada side. Let's see how they can move around, if they can penetrate it, if they have the quality to do something.
Long throw, headed away by Mazraoui. Potentially ball played back in. It is first time. No back ball at all. Yassine Bono got his hand to it. Had to just parry it away. It's now Ahmed who plays it back in. Issa Diop with the clearance. Lovely back heel there from Rahimi, but ultimately doesn't lead to a chance. As now Eustáquio is just pulled down on the edge of the box. And it's going to be a free kick, not a penalty. But that was tantalizingly close to a very awkward moment at the back for Morocco.
And it was a very, very similar play to the goal scored by Eustáquio there. Pretty much, it was the same bounce at the edge of the box, but of course, Amrabat was there, and it was a foul. He grabbed him a little bit, of course, when you're about to take a shot, and you feel something there. You see the left leg of Amrabat trying to hold the Canadian player from taking the shot. It's a foul from a very, very dangerous position.
Eustáquio from a similar kind of range to say, Carlos, he scored the match winner against South Africa. Doesn't look like Michael Oliver has anything to debate with the VAR referee Jared Gillett as to whether it was just on the line, because if it is on the line, it's a penalty, but it is on the edge of the box, therefore it's going to be a free kick for Canada. And words still being had between Hakimi and Larea. As Tafujiro tries to rally the fans, the Canadian fans behind the goal, as they look for an equaliser. Yassine Bono almost setting up there a 7-man wall, it seems. Eyes on Jonathan David, the Juventus frontman. He's only scored in one game at this World Cup.
Actually scored a free kick. It was against Canada, against Qatar. It was Saliba the one that took it, and Saliba, of course, is not on the pitch. Who do you have Jonathan David as a free kick taker? Let's see if he can do well.
Jonathan David looks like the alternative. He goes for a goal, and he tried to dink it over the wall because it was so close to the edge of the box. Ultimately gets it wrong, or at least puts too much power on it. Just see it here again.
The ball didn't go down as Jonathan David was expecting. So Terry will take the free kick from the Canada player. The chance miss. It's difficult to take a free kick from that distance when they're so close with the wall in front of you. And the substitutions, the two players are coming off the pitch are the left fullback Larea and the left mid fullback Ahmed. We've been saying about the corrections that Canada have to make on that side, as of course is the most on their side. For Morocco, Larea had yellow card, and one of the players that came on is Shaffelwood, the player that was actually talking to Jesse March some minutes ago, a player that actually was playing for Charlotte up until this season, that he swapped to playing the Los Angeles FC, a left-footed player that has a very good individual quality.
Long-range effort there, parried away by Yassine Bono, and that seems like such a long time ago since we saw a clear chance for Canada. It's Tyjon Buchanan from distance. It was on target, and Bono needing two hands to parry it away.
So Shaffelwood on, Promise David on, Ahmed off. Promise David is a striker, is an offensive substitution right now with 3 forwards on the pitch. Let's see about the formation after the corner.
Eustachio is going to be the man to play it in once again for Canada. It's a poor effort towards the front post. The ball goes long back into the penalty area, and there is a foul on attack. In attack, there is a push there committed by Promise David. Promise David, another David who has scored at this World Cup for Canada. So just see once again Buchanan picking it up, finding that little pocket of space, and just from the referee view, that was going in had Yassine Bono not got down quick enough to parry it away.
No, very good long distance shot. Yassine Bono didn't want anything with that ball, and he did as a goalkeeper should do, saving and sending the ball to the side. And it's actually Shaffelwood got such an offensive substitution. Shaffelwood playing as a left fullback. He usually can play as a left wing back or as a right wing back if we're playing with line of 3, but it's a player that doesn't have the defensive characteristics to play on that position, especially knowing that you're going to have to be facing Brahim or the overlaps of Hakimi, but also if you want the other player to drop back to be dependent on you can make an offensive player, and that's what Jesse March is doing. And of course, putting all the power up front because you need the goal.
Set piece is played relatively short in this case, played to the first man inside the box. It was Jonathan David. It's now played back in first time, headed away by En-Nesyri. Canada had to go all the way back to the goalkeeper, but I think it also speaks volumes, Carlos, with the fact there's just about 9 minutes left for stoppage time, that Alphonso Davies probably isn't just fit enough, because otherwise you think Jesse March would have brought him on already.
That's it. He's not fit enough. He doesn't have the physicality to play, and Jesse March, for him, the players need to be 100%.
Another chance on the counter. Lovely through ball this time. Brahim Diaz onto his left foot, lays it off, the shot into the top corner, and just like that, on the counter charge, Morocco may just have killed off the game and sealed their place into the quarterfinals. 8 minutes left to play, but on the counter charge, this time the through ball was perfectly placed. Brahim Diaz waited his turn, and the finish, sublime, into the top corner. It's Unahi once again. First time he found the bottom corner, this time he finds the top, but ultimately he is the decider for Morocco.
So we've been talking about this pretty much during the whole second half, but it's just what's been happening for Morocco. Canada is pretty much on the right side of the Morocco attack. It was Shaffelwood running pretty much 5 meters at the back of Brahim Diaz, like we said, alone. Here we see the replay from Nawi, a good pass for Brahim, pretty much alone. Shaffelwood was more thinking forward and to defend, and then Brahim, with his quality, he just had to cut back. So Nahi again, field mark. An open play with Morocco is lethal to score in the second.
Azzedine Unahi is not necessarily known for his goal-scoring ability, but 2 very well-taken finishes. Ultimately, you'd expect now, going to decide this game. We have seen late goals in this matchup. We have seen late comebacks from 2-0 down. Just ask Senegal, who were 2-0 up in this part of the game against Belgium and ultimately ended up losing. But that goal, with Canada throwing them forward, they get caught out, and that may just be Carlos the knockout blow for Jesse March's side.
Jesse March took a risk, putting semi-winger to defend. He was more thinking forward, joining the attack, trying to go forward because Canada was losing 1-0. But Yesimak decided to take the risk and the counter, finding the space in the middle. Morocco pretty much, I don't know if to win the game, but very, very difficult. Puts Canada against the waves.
Jonathan David's first shot blocked. Another chance here now played across by Schaffelberg, and it just gets caught out there.
Now Schaffelberg did join the attack. A good mark from En-Nesyri. That since he came on, he's been doing very, very good, bringing defensive balance, also bringing the passes forward, bringing the defensive line, something that the Wadi wasn't doing.
Well, in just over 2 hours' time, France and Paraguay will be kicking off in their round of 16 game. The winner of that match will face the winner of this contest that we're watching now. At the moment, it's going to be Morocco. As the goal scorer En-Nesyri charges forward, Morocco may be thinking about getting a third. The cross comes in, and it's off the crossbar.
Michael Oliver immediately saw his watch and saying anyone that it didn't vibe, so he was going to go. But again, En-Nesyri as the protagonist now joining the attack down the right side, putting a great ball inside of the box, and by centimeters that ball didn't go in. The MVP, I'm sure you know who will go for.
As the ball comes in now from the left-hand side from Tyjon Buchanan.
And sometimes I must say he hasn't been fair the MVP award. It seems like right now the MVP award will go to the most famous player of that game. Messi shouldn't be winning it. Last night I think it should have been to Lisandro. Lamine Yamal should have won it in Spain. Cristiano Ronaldo should have won it in Portugal. Of course, FIFA gives it to the most famous player of the team. But En-Nesyri for sure the MVP of this game.
Cannon cleverly lets it go for David. Schaffelberg gets the cross from the left-hand side. It'll drop again for Jonathan David. Canada not giving up just yet, and rightfully so. As it's played back in by Seagull, eventually parried away. Just to point out and remind you of the example we were giving a few minutes ago of late goals. Senegal were 2-0 up against Belgium in the 86th minute. And then it was a goal in the 87th from Lukaku and a goal in the 89th from Tielemans that sent the game to extra time. And then Tielemans killed off the game with a penalty spot in the last minute of extra time. So we have seen miracles like that happen at this World Cup, but at the moment that's what Canada need. An absolute miracle. And 2 late goals.
And it doesn't seem that they have the options to change things around. Alfonso Davies, as we were saying, could be he's still on the bench and he's got the quality to change some things around, but he's not fit. But to play one, we're going to see a couple of substitutions from Morocco, the last 2 substitutions that Mohamed Ouhabi can do. Of course, trying to kill the game, to close the game, to close any offensive gap. And Canada also brings the 2 substitutions for Cannon and Seagull for the players coming off. And En-Nesyri and Diop are the player coming off for Morocco. That brings on Mourabet and also Salani, 2 players that have a better defensive approach of the game.
Set piece now for Canada, whipped in, a good ball in by Eustáquio, parried away by Yacine Bono. As there is a collision there between the 2, the play will be halted momentarily.
The curiosity that Salani came on for Diop, that didn't have a yellow card, does have a yellow card, and Salani, a player that will reinforce that center back position. And then Mourabet, midfielder, not with the offensive quality of En-Nesyri, the MVP of the game for sure, but as player that will play alongside En-Nesyri to close the midfield and to cover lots of ground. For Canada, the 2 substitutions, also Jesse Marsh, even everything he's got. Jonathan Osorio, the Colombian-born player, and Jaden Nelson that came on for Buchanan. Jaden Nelson, the player from Austin FC, doing a decent season so far, especially in 2025. He did a very, very good season in the Canadian Championship. Well, let's see if there are some options for En-Nesyri.
There we just see the second goal of the game from Unahi, his second goal of the match. And there's obviously the Moroccan fans really enjoying this one, as they are getting ready to enjoy themselves with this one. Final minute now of regular time, just about to tick over, as we will slowly but surely see things wrapped up here in Houston, Texas, unless obviously quite a lot of stoppage time is added on. Canada's changes obviously mostly just to bring on fresh legs. What can they do here with the set piece? The manager, the fans, throwing everyone forward. Schaffelberg gets the crosser on the left-hand side for Canada. And another shot, that time dropped kindly for the winger Osorio.
Lots of chances from set pieces, lots of corners that they couldn't take on and use offensively.
Chance to maybe float the ball back in once again to the box here. Amrabat just missing the ball there to maybe try and back heel it away. Bombito under pressure has to go back to his goalkeeper, as I knew he was trying to maybe sniff a ball there that could get Morocco on their way for a third goal, as 8 minutes of stoppage time have been added on. So Canada do still potentially have a lifeline, as Kyle Larin chests the ball down. He was just in an illegal position, I believe.
And of course, right now, the play, the miracle that Canada is looking is just to play down the sides and put long balls into the box. That's why he's got Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, and Thomas David playing with 3 number 9s. That's why he put it a shuffle with a player that usually he play on both sides of the pitch, but he usually plays on the right, cutting back, but he's now playing down the left to put easier balls into the box. Trying to look for the tall man. Pretty much the only resource that Canada has right now to look for the game.
Rahimi trying to fight that ball down to the corner flag, not giving anything away. It didn't go out there, it was being helped in by the corner flag itself. And obviously, Carlos, if Morocco do see the sound, which at this point we probably do expect them to do so, and they move on to the next round, this will probably be a game of reflection for the manager, Mohamed Ouafi, because as you pointed out, it's not necessarily been their best game, but ultimately with the resources they had and probably the energy they had, they managed to wrap up the game.
No, a team that has a very, very good individualities with Donahi, with Brahim Diaz, with El Canous, Hakim, even Madraoui, players that are elite in European level. And it's just a good news, I think, for this Moroccan side that has been playing a great role, one of the best teams, no doubt, playing against great teams as Brazil or the Netherlands, and being better than this top sides. So now they reach the last 32 round. They didn't play good. They seemed comfortable from the very first minute, first half, that actually Canada dominated, not letting Morocco to create any chance.
Quick move now by Flores inside the box, trying to get the cross away. Does manage to at least get the corner.
And we said the first half was played as Canada wanted, pretty much nullified every offensive chance from Morocco. Then Morocco even suffer an injury that's going to be very dangerous as it is Saibari. But good news, when you don't play well, to solve the game and to win.
Woo! The keeper made his way all the way up there, did Maxime Crepeau. He just missed out on the ball, but that could have ended a lot worse with him being that far up the pitch. But obviously at this point, Might as well risk it all. Both goalkeepers almost colliding there. Quite literally from that replay, Carlos Crepeau is just throwing himself at the ball.
Yes, as we said, the two born in Montreal goalkeepers in the Quebec region.
Yassine Bono goes long now. Final exchanges in this game. 3.5 of the 8 added on have been played.
It hasn't been the work of Brahim Diaz, but important for him to have an assist, to have a little confidence, to continue adding minutes. Of course, let's see what's going to happen with Saibari. It seems like a hamstring injury. It's an injury that at least takes you out for 2 weeks. I don't think that he's going to be available at least for the quarterfinals for the last 16, maybe for the semifinal. Let's take a look. But without Saibari, Brahim Diaz needs to play there, carry on with the weight of the team, having the match momentum, something that we haven't seen. Good use, of course, of Unagi. A tremendous game by Unagi. Few balls that he touched, and the 2 most important ones to the back of the net.
Obviously, serious looks on the Canadian fans and players. We'll play now. For Schaffelberg out wide on the left. As we say, winger turned left back really for this game today. Or at least for his substitute appearance in these final exchanges. As there we see Unahi on the bench. As the ball comes forward, Crepeau is very close to getting there. And obviously, it's another question that when the goalkeeper comes up, the defenders have to ask each other who covers the goalkeeper. It's an extra man, an extra player inside the penalty area to try and deal with. And that's why the last 2 crosses into the box have come very close to the goalkeeper, Maxime Crepeau, being unmarked. As Schaffelberg cuts onto his right foot, he's brought down by Rahimi, and it's going to be a free kick for Canada.
Well, the dream fades in Houston for Canada, but I think that they should be proud of the World Cup they did. Of course, they're a host nation, and as a host, the entry you want to advance as much as possible using the 12 men, but it's also true that Canada did their best every World Cup, qualifying to the next round, playing good matches, and even, yes, it's true, they're losing 2-0 against Morocco, but it's also true that they competed through the whole game.
Eustachio and Flores over the ball for Canada. Played short to Flores on his right foot, and it comes off his own teammate. Ball back across by Schaffelberg. Chance still alive now for Canada, as it's just lobbed wide of the back post, and Yassine Bono celebrates that miss as if it were a goal or a huge save by him. It's going to go out for a goal kick. That was another big chance for Canada.
And even there is a discount, and of course they're losing by 2, and it will be pretty much impossible to equalize the football match. At least they're trying until the end, competing until the very last minute, as they did for the whole tournament in Canada. I insist, the crowd, the team, everybody in Canada should be proud of the performance of this team, and the good news, thinking forward, it's a young team with a young talent that thinking in the future, we could be bright for them.
Well, the words of their manager, Jesse Marsh, this is the greatest Canadian team of all time. That is how he has called them. We shall see if he will continue after this tournament.
It's still in him, the decision, right? Like Jesse Marsh.
Well, Canada have made history at this World Cup. They've hosted the tournament. They scored their first goal at the World Cup. They got their first win at a World Cup, their biggest win as well. And they also managed to get to the knockout stages for the first time in their history. They won their first knockout game. They won the round of 32 tie. But the round of 16 is where their journey will be coming to an end. It's going to be Morocco facing Paraguay or France. But Morocco want a third here. And there it is into the bottom corner. It's rolled in by the first half substitutes. Sofiane Rahimi. 3-0 to Morocco to put the final nail in the coffin. Canada with a better side in the first half, but Morocco in this second half have bulldozed their way into the quarterfinals. Morocco have done it again. Unahi got the first two, and now Rahimi seals the deal for the African side.
And we thought Morocco in the second half of playing fast counters, waiting for the reaction of the opponent, and from there I attacked you. We can count, I think, 4 attacks in this second half, 3 goals for Morocco. So this is a team that during the majority of the game they didn't play well, they weren't feeling comfortable, and they understood the role, knowing that it was Canada the one that had to propose. The first goal came after a bad decision of Canada in the main marking as a free kick, and from there Canada started to assume this, take this, leaving space behind, and Morocco with the quality, with the fast counters, again with Abraham Diaz giving an assist, Abraham Diaz that needed confidence, and with these 2 assists, certainly goes true that he hasn't been the best game of him, only 2 good appearances, 2 assists, but of course thinking forward, important for Ibrahim to be assisting, to be participating directly in the scoring after the critics that he's receiving. A failure maybe that doesn't show what happened during the whole game, but of course Morocco, we can now certify that it's a team on the next round.
Indeed they are, because at the Houston Stadium the final whistle has been blown by Michael Oliver. Huge celebrations from the Moroccan players. Jesse Marsh there congratulating his opposing manager in Mohamed Ouahbi. Mohamed Ouahbi, who this is his first senior job as well, worth pointing out. He did win the Under-20s World Cup with Morocco. Well, he's going to try and do the same with the senior team. His Moroccan side win 3-0 against Canada in the round of 16, and they are the first side qualified for the 2026 FIFA World Cup quarterfinals. They will play either Paraguay or France. Those 2 sides face each other in just about 2 hours' time. Obviously now, there we see that this is just a spectacular showcase of world-class football. Just before we wrap up our coverage here on YouTube today, just a very quick reminder that our YouTube live streams only cover select matches throughout this tournament. If you want complete unmissable coverage and full access to every single game of the tournament, make sure to buy the pay-per-view package on Blast TV. From all of us in the commentary box, we must remember and thank you for watching us here on the Aleph Arena YouTube channel, but on Blast TV you can get full and exclusive access to all 104 matches of the tournament. Carlos, there is still a long way to go in this tournament, not just for Morocco, but for obviously the rest of the teams left in it. You pointed it out that the scoreline, people will see it says 3-0. That doesn't tell the full story, does it?
No.
Those of us who have watched the whole game.
No, of course, Morocco deserved to win. They were the better side, especially for what happened in the second half. But it was a game of 2 halves. The first half, that from the approach of both angles, the game was being played as Canada wanted. It's true, they gave the ball to Morocco, and Morocco side that couldn't move the ball around. We couldn't see that high rhythm of circulation, the pressure high in the pitch that we saw in the first games of the World Cup, in the games before, even against the Netherlands. And all the merit there for En-Nesyri and the Canada side that cut all the attacks of this Moroccan side. It's true that, offensively speaking, they had to look for more. They had to look for some options that we didn't see through the whole game. And then, of course, this man had to do certain corrections. Luckily, he understood, and also the players knew that there were certain conditions. At least that Larea had a yellow card. Then, of course, also the left center back of Canada had a yellow card, and they just insisted attacking with a last 2 men, with Hakimi and Brahim Diaz. The 2-3 times they created chances, they created lots of danger. They won 150 there. They put the ball back to Unahi, a mistake there in the way they were covering, and that was the first goal. And then the other 2, some fast counters with Canada pretty much on the attack, thinking more how to solve the game and to recover from that goal. Well, they left lots of space behind with a good Brahim Diaz with another assist, in confidence as he wasn't playing a good tournament. And I'm not going to say a complete game from Morocco, but a game that they didn't play good, that physicality they weren't good as they were in the previous games. But it's a good news when you don't play good, with the individualities that you have, you solve the game and you win 3-0. But Canada, let's see En-Nesyri, of course, taking the camera support, but they should feel proud. You already name, you name all the stats that they brought, the first ever World Cup that they advanced into the next round, the first goal that they scored, important things that happened. I'm thinking in the future. It's a very young team, as En-Nesyri said, individually speaking, the best ever Canadian side. So they build the base to continue adding good news to the Canadian football. I think they should be proud, and I'm sure they're proud.
Well, for Jesse Marsh, he has achieved the main objective, which was obviously getting Canada to this World Cup. Obviously, they were already automatically qualified, but they obviously had to be ready to compete. And they've done just that at this World Cup. For them, really, scoring more than one goal was already going to be a huge achievement, because at the last World Cup, as we mentioned, they only scored twice, Canada. They lost all 3 games. In their first ever World Cup in 1986, they lost all 3 games. They didn't score a single goal. Last time out in Qatar, they lost all 3 games, only scored twice. One of them was an own goal. Alphonso Davies came into this World Cup as Canada's all-time top scorer at the tournament with just 1 single goal, and that came in a 4-1 defeat to Croatia. So obviously Jesse Marsh, who's giving the post-match team talk there to his players in the huddle, he came into this tournament knowing that the only way Canada could go was up. And they did that. They picked up their first win against Qatar, a huge 6-0 victory for them against the Qatari side. They reached the knockout stage for the first time in their history. This is the first time that there is a round of 32, because there are 48 teams in the tournament. They managed to get through that against South Africa. They got to the round of 16, but ultimately Morocco just got the better of them. And obviously, we've talked about it at times throughout the game, Carlos, that they couldn't rely on their star player today, because he obviously has not been physically ready for the last month and a half. He picked up an injury towards the end of the season, has Alphonso Davies. He only played as a sub late on against South Africa when the game really needed a goal. But today, I think Jesse Marsh realised that he just wasn't ready to compete, to try and get back in the game. And for Morocco on the other side, Carlos, their individual quality, like you pointed out, did shine through today, and that's what won them the game. In particular, a brace from Azzedine Ounahi, because the stats prove that, for example, 4 shots on target, 3 goals for Morocco. They all came in the second half. Canada only had 3 shots on target, but they created 11 chances. Maybe had they had that bit extra star power in the first half, might have watched a completely different game.
We said it, but when the best news and the only good news for Morocco at the end of that first half was that Canada didn't score. As a manager, it must be frustrating that you had a good approach, that you understood the game, that your players are actually playing better than the opposition. As a collective, you were nullifying the approach of such difficult side as it is Morocco, but you couldn't score. So you give an opportunity for the opponent, for the opposition, to name themselves, to swap things around, to understand where are the defensive holes, and they found that hole on the left side with the yellow card, the compromise. Canada that didn't know how to solve the situation. Maybe you can now, but of course it's easy to tell when you already know the answer. Maybe Jesse Marsh should substitute Larea before. Well, he actually did substitute Larea at 1 point. He brought in Schaffelberg, an offensive player, the other option that he had, because Alphonso Davies wasn't just fit, so he put it there, and after that, 2 goals came down that side. And I understand that Ounahi is the MVP.
Well, we had his reaction at the end of the game.
لعب الحياة ديالو اليوم باش انو بروبوز دي بروبليم، مي الحمد لله بروميير ميطون ما كناش نقولوا 100% في الماتش، مي دوزيام ميطون شفنا الدراري كاملين عطاو اللي عندهم. احنا عارفين بلي الشعب كامل ورانا. سا ماجيستي كنبغيو نشكرو تا هو على كاع داكشي اللي موفر لينا، كاع الرسائل ديالو كتوصلنا، والحمد لله احنا فخورين ملي كنساليو الماتش بحال ما كنشوفوا الشعب ديالنا كامل خارج في المغرب كيفرح، والحمد لله نمشيو ان شاء الله لابعد نقطه ان شاء الله في هذا الكومبيتيسيون.
الحمد لله اول شوط كان صعب كثير كروت صفراء، ينعم معنويات الفريق وتضلكم تتشجعوا دائما.
لا كيف قلت لك قبل، احنا عارفين راسنا في البانشي وعارفين راسنا شنو كنديروا. اليوم الخصم حاول يعطينا يبروبوز دي بروبليم. الحمد لله في دوزيام ميطون شفنا لقينا دي سوليسيون الحمد لله وسالينا الماتش 3-0. كنشكر حتى الدراري كاع اللي كيدخلوا كنشوفوا بلي كيف تمثل الدراري بليسير. حنا 26 لعاب، كاينين دراري اللي كيبداو كاينين دراري اللي كيدخلوا كنبداو الغرض. الحمد لله انا فرحان بزاف ونشوف فيها بارتي دو سيت جينيراسيون.
شكرا كثير.
Just the
Managed
first
to
match.
score the 3 goals.
After everything you're
So now we can hear from
doing,
Jesse Marsh, the
how
Canadian
much
manager.
does this team still have to learn about turning up the intensity to match teams like Morocco in the moment?
Matt, we were the better team. We were the better team. Right? They made a couple more plays than us. But breaking up the intensity was not the issue. It was just they have a little bit of quality in the final third, and we lacked a little ability to make a play when we needed to. But in terms of the match plan, the idea of how we want to play football, the idea of a bunch of guys believing in themselves and going after it and taking a top team who hasn't lost, and I don't even know how long, and taking them to the limit. We were the much better team in the first half and even the beginning of the second half. There was one play that made it 1-0. Otherwise, the game was ours.
Let's talk about the month then and how much your team gave you. Every moment that you asked them to raise their level, they did, irrespective of the injury. What did you learn about your team in this last 4 or 5 weeks?
Always it's about, in the biggest games and the biggest moments, how much can we be ourselves? And how much can we show belief? How much can we go after the game? How much can we test the opponent? How much can we put the game on our terms? We did that. We did that. Now, across the pitch, we had 11 incredible performances in the first half. We were unlucky not to get the lead. We should have been on top of the game. We should have had the lead. And then it's the fine details, right? Like, do we need to foul on the sideline and then dealing with the set piece? But again, they have quality. They have players that play at a big level. But in terms of how we played, the match plan that we played, sticking to who we wanted to be, what an incredible performance.
And the movement you created in Canada. What do you hope as the road to 2030 begins right now? What does tomorrow look like and the tomorrow now that Canada is a different nation?
What a privilege our fans have had to root a team on like this. That goes after the game, that doesn't play defensive, that shows that they can be better, right? Of course, we have to be in these situations more and more, and then we have to find ways to succeed, and then we have to build from that. But what a great team. I'd rather be us than them. As good as Morocco is, I'd rather be us, right? Like, I'm really proud of our guys. We went after the game. They're hurting right now, but my goodness, I couldn't be prouder.
Canada thanks you, Jesse.
I thank Canada.
That's definitely one way to put it from Jesse Marsh.
For a second.
Very nice word from Jesse Marsh, and I totally go with him. Canada should be very proud. It was before and after Jesse Marsh when he took over in 2024, and now what leaves the legacy, thinking in the future for the 2030 World Cup. Is he going to be there? That's the
won
question.
this game, especially in the first half. We were on top of it. We were fighting, we were creating chances, set pieces were on point. But then from a set piece, we kind of let that slip, and then obviously we want to go after it, and we were a little bit got hurt on transitions. At the same time, I just want to tell everybody that the team fought and they gave everything that they had, and I'm very proud.
Over this last month, what have you learned about Canada as it has embraced this team? And what do you think Canada has learned about this team now as they begin the road to 2030?
Yeah, we felt always the love back home from the Canadians. I think we're finally a soccer country, man. We need the support to go forward. We're gonna enter another cycle of 4 years. The youngsters here, they need you guys' support throughout the 4 years, so that we make sure that we can go even further in the next World Cup.
Thank you for everything, Steph.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Stefan Eustáquio, the captain today, obviously in the absence of Alphonso Davies, and we obviously saw that it was very emotional from Eustáquio, more rally cry from Jesse Marsh. Obviously, Unai was clearly emotional as well, that he had got his side through to the next round. But I think it's very important that for Canada, even though they went out today, Carlos, this is for them a turning point. And the next World Cup, ironically, will be in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. So they'll have to go and play maybe away in Morocco in the next World Cup, where they want to go further.
I stay with the words of Eustáquio, and he says, now we're a soccer country. And that's the movement that Jesse March and this team started, and that will carry on thinking in the future. Right now, and 4 years ago, Canada couldn't say that. They actually have 3 MLS teams in Montreal, in Vancouver, and in Toronto. 4 years ago, it was only Toronto. 4 years ago, they didn't have this team, they didn't have this hope. It was Jesse March who came on in the Copa America 2024, organized with the United States. They reached the semifinals, then also they reached the semifinals to the Gold Cup, and they built such a competitive team. He said it. We were the best team in the first half. We had a great game plan. We just couldn't score, and from a mistake, and it's just a matter of details, the fine details. They committed a mistake in committing a foul. They committed a mistake in not marking the men who they should be marking, and from there on, it was very difficult against such a good opponent as it is in Morocco. Aounaki also showing lots of passion there in his talking to the media. One of the only 9 players of this squad list that are born in Morocco, and I think we need to highlight that because the Federation Morocco has done an important job in scouting players that were born in Morocco. And of course, are players with lots of quality. Individually speaking, they are playing in very good, if not the best teams in Europe. But it's also true that it's very difficult to connect with the people, to understand the communities, to understand the customs. And I think that we saw there the community between the crowd, the team, and the coaching staff is very, very nice. And Morocco is a serious candidate in this World Cup, no doubt.
Well, we're going to wrap it up there for you on the Aleph Radio YouTube channel. Carlos Ponte, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure for me.
We hope to see you very soon on the Aleph Radio YouTube channel, joining us for the next round. Morocco will be there in the quarterfinals. They have just knocked out Canada by 3-0. Thank you for joining us.
Pwede bang mag-breakdown? Hindi. Break time?